Well, hello everyone. My name is Zachary O'Shea, and this is Box of Teeth. It's also Just Another Mimic Monday, so let's go over a new mimic right now. Every Just Another Mimic Monday, I reach deep into that box of teeth and produce a homebrew mimic for all of you for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. They're sometimes a little horrific, sometimes a little bit silly. This one leans a little more into horrific, so I'm going to crack a few jokes to take the edge off, as it were. Let's go ahead and talk about the Gauntlet mimic. The famed jewel that you plumbed this dungeon for is just within your grasp, and also in the grasp of a one-armed skeleton. Wisely, you chopped off its head, kicked in its ribcage, so make sure it doesn't rise and cause you any sort of problems. But now as you're trying to pry out that famed jewel, it doesn't quite want to come free of the fingers on the gauntlet that the corpse was wearing, and nor do those fingers want to move. So you slide the gauntlet on, figuring you can loosen up the fingers that way. Ooh, and it just started to sting, and oh, it's starting to chew. Maybe this wasn't such a wise idea after all. And now here comes the other arm being led by a gauntlet that's sprouting eyes and teeth. Roll for initiative. Pardon the pun, but the first gauntlet mimics came along because someone thought they would be handy. Imagine you would have a gauntlet where the weapon's going to stick and you can't be disarmed. It's going to be easier for you to grapple people and hold them down. And likewise, it can even help you with picking a lock with its little tiny pseudopods. That sounds pretty cool, perhaps if you're a half-mad arcanist or some sort of evil warlord with more evil than sense. And thus, the first gauntlet mimic was born. But most folks have two hands, so maybe it's better to make sure that you have twins, which is great because now just like your lefty and your righty, they're going to be in tune and be able to really rock 'em, sock 'em as needed. That's great. Unfortunately, there was more puns. First off, these mimics, their favorite food is finger food, so eventually they're going to turn on you one way or the other. And when they do, you're going to find yourself a little bit stumped on how to try and stop them. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Gauntlet Mimic statistics for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The Gauntlet Mimic is a challenge rated 2 tiny monstrosity that is neutral. It does have a fairly high armor class, but pretty low hit points because it's so small. In addition, it does have the sleight of hand skill, and I'll go over why here in a moment. Like any other Mimic, it does have Shape Changer, Adhesive, False Appearance, and Grappler, though it can only change into a glove or a gauntlet. On top of that, it does have Hand in Glove, which is kind of like pack tactics. So first off, if an allied creature is within 5 feet of the creature that the mimic is attacking, and the allied creature is not incapacitated, the mimic has advantage. If that allied creature happens to be another gauntlet mimic, however, now the first mimic's attacks become criticals on 19 through 20 instead of 20. It also has sticky fingers, so it can use the sleight of hand skill as if it has Thieves' Tools. Anybody wearing the gloves gets Thieves' Tools at all times, and advantage on sleight of hand checks, which again makes them tempting to put on. Attack-wise, they do have pseudopods and bites, but those don't do a whole lot of damage because again, they're very wee and tiny creatures. They do have a bonus action though of chew, so if they start the round on top of someone as a gauntlet, well, then they start to get chewing as a bonus action. They can make a bite attack. Yes, but certainly not least, they also have why are you punching yourself? So anytime the first mimic is next to a creature that has been criticaled by another mimic, then that first mimic gets to use its reaction to make a pseudopod attack. So again, nice and rock 'em sock 'em. So they're probably best in pairs, but I would love to hear how you would use them in your own campaign down below. You can find the Gauntlet Mimics along with hundreds of other mimics and hundreds more horror-themed monsters, all for free, all for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition at boxofteeth.blogspot.com. If you're more interested in the non-Dungeons & Dragons horror role-playing projects that I have, or the horror fiction that I write that includes grease paint right here with a killer clown, you can always go to www.zacharyoshea.com. Book 2 should be out sometime this summer, so stay tuned. As always, thank you for your time and your attention and putting up with my terrible jokes, and have a wonderful rest of the week ahead of you.